Hello, hello, and welcome. I have a guest. What are you doing? Or two guests, actually. I adopted two kittens earlier this year. Oh, thank you. Thank you for knocking over my books. And they are almost 4 months old, and they are quite the rascals. So they are in a little bit of a rebellious era, I would say, but they are cute. They're my babies. I love them so much. They might be, coming across the screen. I don't know. We'll see how much of an appearance they choose to make. But yeah, hello, welcome. This is going to be a list of my favorite books of 2025, particularly my 5-star reads. If you don't know me, I'm Rebecca, and I really like literary fiction. I find I gravitate a lot to these sort of stories where it's character-driven, very well written, and just a genuinely moving sort of novel. So with that in mind, that's my reading taste, and let's take a look at a couple of my favorites. The first on the list is a book that I don't actually have the physical copy of right now. I've lent it out to a friend, but it is Swimming in the Dark. This for me was like 5.5 stars. Like, it broke my star scale. I found the writing was so immersive, and the narration was also great because it's a retrospective narrative. Other retrospective narrative stories would be something like The Kite Runner, or gosh, even Annihilation, one of the books I loved last year, which is a horror novel, but it still has that retrospective style. And I have found I absolutely love this style. I think it's a great tool for authors to sort of add that hit of nostalgia or like a wistful tone to their writing. And it certainly works really well here in Swimming in the Dark. So this is a novel that follows Ludwig, our protagonist, in 1980s Poland, and how he falls in love with one guy called Janusz, and their sort of idyllic summer and how they spend a lot of time together, but inevitably circumstances pull them apart and create tension in their relationship. I guess what I just found so great about this book, besides the beautiful writing style, was that it had such genuine characters. Often in contemporary literature, characters are sort of tropified or just made out to be either really bland and forgettable or larger than life, super bubbly, super funny, and it just feels inauthentic because it's like, hey, real people don't talk like this. Real people don't act like this, you know? So in Swimming in the Dark, I found that the characters just came across as so genuine. It really felt like these are people whose lives will continue after the last page has turned. The dynamic was beautiful. I felt like the way they talked, their dialogue and their reactions was so deeply human and real, and it made this book wonderful. If you're going to read any of the books that I recommend in this video, then I would suggest this one at the top. Whoop! Okay, we're back. The second book that I rated 5 stars this year was The Moustache by Emmanuel Carrère. This is a translated French novel, and my god, what a wild, unsettling book. I mean, it is quite slim, but this packs quite an unsettling energy in here. It's a bit of a simple, rather fun premise. A guy randomly decides to shave his mustache one day. He's had it for years, and he thinks it might be a little bit of a fun thing to do. His wife will come back home from grocery shopping and be like, what do you do? And they'll have some banter, whatever. But the novel turns kind of sinister when he shaves his mustache and no one, I mean really no one, seems to notice or even comment on it. So this includes his wife, his close friends, his co-workers. No one comments on it. And when he finally mentions it and is like, hey, like, didn't you guys notice I shaved my mustache? Everyone's confused and they're like, what do you mean? Like, you never had a mustache. Chaos. Because what do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Honestly, this was such a trippy book because it reminded me of those cult documentaries you see where, like, you hear about someone getting recruited into a cult and you're like, that would never happen to me. Like, how are they so dumb? But then you start to see how easy it is to get under someone's skin and just into their head and make them doubt themselves, make them question reality. I mean, listen, I will not say I support anything this man did, but I get it. Like, if everyone around me started questioning something so simple about my perception of reality, and they all affirmed it together, like a unanimous agreement, I would think I'm going crazy. And, you know, he genuinely does. Bless him. No, it was just so fun. I say that, I'm like, his life was ruined. It was so fun. It definitely takes you on a ride you would not expect. Like, when you start this book and knowing that premise, you have no idea where this is going to end. And I loved it. Next up we have My Husband. Oh my gosh. This was the most fun book I read in 2025, for sure. This follows a obsessive housewife who cannot stop talking to us as the readers about how great her husband is. And it becomes quite obvious to us as readers that she's not trying to tell this to us so that we truly believe, like, okay, we get it, you love your husband. It really is a sort of a darker, more complex story, messaging about performance and like the facade that we can put on so easily. I think it's not easy to write characters who are insufferable and annoying and just straight up toxic and bad people, but that you genuinely root for. This is certainly a comedic character study, but don't let it fool you either. I think I was confused initially when I saw that this is listed as feminist literature on Goodreads, because I was like, what are we playing at here? I get it now, because there are some unsettling, sort of disquieting moments where our narrator slips away out of the performance and she gets a bit vulnerable and reveals she's actually quite unhappy. How sad is that? You know, like, you actually feel for her. Like, it's in those small moments where she becomes quite human and you feel sympathy towards her. I loved it. I think this is one of the most chaotic books I've read in a while. I mean, the Moustache certainly is up there, but this was just plain fun. I love unhinged women. Then the next 5-star read, this is my most recent book that I finished. It's called People with No Charisma, and this is also a translated novel. Whoa, in fact, yeah, I just realized these are all translated.
Whoa.
Huh. So French, this is also French, and this is a Dutch novel. So this one differs stylistically and structurally from anything else I've read this year. This follows a young woman whose mother is dealing with terminal cancer, and she's reflecting on her childhood, how her mother was actually quite mean to her and pushed her to be like a child prodigy, and how now in her own adulthood she can't really make decisions for herself. She's rather clueless when it comes to her career, her love life. Just everything is kind of falling apart. This one isn't necessarily poetic or like well written in the sense that there's so many words that paint a beautiful image in your mind flowing off of the pages, but it was well written in the sense that it's so simple and clean cut that the emotions hit you at times very directly. It is quite anecdotal, actually. This novel is just a series of paragraphs of different phases of her life, and sometimes we're in her teenage years, then we jump to her adult years, then a memory of her childhood, and there isn't really a plot here. It almost feels like a memoir, which interesting because my last book I'll mention is a memoir, and it just had this interesting, unique style to it. It focuses on the subtleties of human behavior and feelings. So I find I'm someone who loves the human condition in books. This really hit the spot and I could recommend it. 5 stars, nothing else to add. And then the last on my list, this is not a 5-star read, but it was something that was so good and then I kept thinking about, where I'm like, okay, it's a solid 4 stars, I'm going to mention it. This is Down the Drain by Julia Fox. This is her memoir. If you don't know, Julia Fox is as an actress, a model, a bit of like an internet personality as she's come to be known. You might have heard about her from Brat Summer.
Yeah, 360, when you're in the mirror, do you know what you see?
she has a line where she's like, I'm everywhere, I'm so Julia. And she's referencing Julia Fox there. And I think Julia Fox was even in her music video there. So yeah, that's the woman herself, and this is her memoir. My friend Lotte recommended this book to me last year actually, so it's been an entire year since she recommended it, and Lotte, I got through this and you're right, this is really good. So this is just a bit of a crazy book. I wouldn't say it's particularly well written, but it's not about the style, it's more about the wild experiences this woman has gone through. She recounts her childhood, moving from Italy to New York City, and just the chaos of everything. I mean, this woman, it feels like she's a cat that has lived 9 lives. It makes you question, like, how much of this did actually happen. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't really care. If it's all fake, whatever. I had a fun time reading this. I mean, it's just a crazy book, and I feel like what works so well here is the fact that she has this unapologetic attitude. It's like, yeah, I did some messy, awful things, but here you go. And like, it's told in a very conversational style, so you feel like you're kind of getting all the gossip and the tea. If you're looking for a messy woman who is gonna hook you in with her crazy stories, then add this to your TBR for 2026. And yeah, that's a wrap. I hope that you could find something you're interested in and maybe stick around for any other reviews that are coming your way. I cannot promise when I'll be back because I'm like treating this channel like I don't know what. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, and I hope you have a lovely start to the new year. Bye bye!